WFUZ-TV, Coastal Alabama, Northwest Florida, the People's Voice.
Hello, welcome to WFUZ-TV. I'm Blair Castro, this is Thomas Jenkins, and today we just wanted to talk briefly about our mission and vision with this news station that we have started. A lot of people have asked, why are you doing this? What is your motive? What's the whole point? Like, what are you doing and why are you here? So it's kind of what we wanted to address today, and we can just dive into it. I don't want to spend too much time preheating the oven, and we can just jump into really what started it. And for me, I'll just say I've always had an interest in local government. I've been working in politics since the age of 17. I've always had an interest in journalism. I used to be the managing editor of a newspaper. I have a law background, and I've written policy, especially local ordinances, laws, and I've tried to combine my background in media with a way to affect those laws in a more effective way to make change. So that's kind of what I've always wanted to do, but I've never really had the proper support and partnership to make that a reality. And now that we are here, we can talk a little bit about how we came together to decide to do this in our free time and basically build something out of nothing and why we're doing it. So you go ahead and what started it all?
I mean, we came up with WFUZ-TV months ago. We came up with a logo months ago because we had toyed with the idea of like, what would it be like if we had our own TV station and, could program our own shows and have our own newscast and things like that. And when I came up, even though I learned musical instruments and that was what my study was on in school, I always had an interest in watch from a young age, news programs and television shows and films and video games. And was always interested in the production side of it, the camera work, the music, soundtrack, and everything that goes, animation, voice acting, so many different elements of broadcast. I like the technical side of. And so for me, this is a way to parlay some of the things that I've learned in my own time on the side, besides music, with cameras and audio and stuff like that, and throw it all together. And we were kind of throwing around the idea of a newscast, and we just didn't really have a story to latch onto until we had the thing that we posted about. And then when we posted about that, we started talking to other people, and that led us to this story that we just put out and had over 10,000, 20,000 views on those first two. And that's where this whole Facebook channel got started, essentially.
And we had filmed a couple video projects together in a paid capacity, just kind of one-off subcontract work. And we kind of realized the team there would be able to use his technical skills and background and knowledge of the technology and more of my marketing connection type skills to build like a partnership that would actually grow into something that could cover real issues and real news. And both of us kind of have a grasp on what's going on nationally, but we felt like nobody really was talking about what's happening locally. And I had done a couple of local podcasts with politicians I had worked for, and he had helped with that. And I was realized that I really couldn't do this on my own. And before I had tried to start a newspaper, actually, and I just could never get motivated. And I always felt like I was missing something. I didn't really have the proper support to make it happen. I was good at writing, but I wasn't really good at getting in front of a camera, filming, editing, doing all of that myself just felt really overwhelming. And I couldn't do it alone. I needed a supportive person to encourage me and to fill all the gaps that I was missing. It really is a multi-person job to do this stuff. It's super hard.
Yes.
Yeah. And so we had done a couple of those paid projects, and then we went to a county commission meeting to deal with a personal issue of his. And that became a thing where we realized, wow, there's a lot going on right in our background, or our backyard.
And that brings back to what you said about the local news coverage. Like you said, and like we were talking about earlier, there's so much attention now on national stories that it's doing a really good job of keeping people distracted from what's happening in their own backyard, like you were just about to talk about.
Yes. So it was completely inefficient, all the things we experienced with the Baldwin County government in particular. it was nothing I never experienced. And I've worked in other counties, Orange, Seminole, Santa Rosa, Escambia, and I've worked as a contractor in a paid capacity for many of these local governments. And of course, there are shortfalls and there are issues, but there really hadn't been issues like my brief experience watching him try to get a PFA in Baldwin County, trying to contact the Baldwin County Sheriff's Office, trying to contact our local municipalities to figure out what was going on. Only one local government here actually had a meeting with me and helped me navigate things, trying to figure out what's going on with the supervisor of election. All of these county-run agencies were just so ineffective, so much backlog, so much bureaucracy. It was the most infuriating thing I've experienced. So we went and talked to several mentors of mine in the business community and in local government, and they really encouraged us to speak out. I think the exact words were, don't stay silent. If you think something needs to change, do it. And for me, I was never the person who really was an activist type. I've always kind of worked for people that were already in power, and my role has always been to keep those people in power. And I've been hired to kind of honestly, in the past, squash the loud people who are saying, oh, we need to make change. I'm kind of like, well, I'm here to keep the status quo. And I'm now on the other side of that. So I'm glad this happened because it gave me a whole new perspective. And now I'm like, I have an opportunity to be sort of an activist and to call for change. And that's not something I'm usually do, but I'm really glad I get to do it now, and because it really needs to happen. And my eyes are very open to that.
Yeah. And even though, I've had a very limited experience in law enforcement, I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm some sort of commensurate professional that's been on the job for decades and decades. I had a little over 3 years of service experience, and that took me from being in corrections all the way to working in the administrative position of assistant chief in a very, very small town. Mind you, that wasn't because of any kind of meritocracy per se versus just turnover rates and availability of candidates. But having that experience, whether it's a large cosmopolitan area or with a small town like that, you're really able to put small town government, local government under a microscope and see it play out in such a way that you're able to gain a better understanding of the processes quickly. You're going into a town hall meeting with 5-6 people on the dais, including the mayor, and you've got 15-20 people out in the audience that are the townspeople and the town lawyer and all that kind of stuff. And you hear what they talk about, and you hear the things that pass on the agenda that are questionable. And when people come up with weak arguments for justifying expenditures and things like that. And so with that experience, limited as it may be, when I went into the government offices here in Baldwin County and started to see some of the similarities between a, not very well funded small town department, it disturbed me, especially with all of the construction and growth that we're seeing in business and all that. I really just want to see the law enforcement and judicial infrastructure of the county come up equally with that growth, because I have seen from my hometown, which I also worked for that department for a while as well, my chief at the time, who's now the mayor, brought that town from, I can't quote any accurate numbers right now, but he brought significant growth to my hometown. And he did that while bringing emergency services, the quality of emergency service up with that business growth to accommodate for that incoming growth in crime and civil disputes and all of that. So it's just so important that it often goes looked over, because everybody wants to say, oh, yes, I want to pursue, or I want to grow small business, local business, shop local. Yes, you have to protect it. You have to be able to service the people that are coming in. And these, where did they build 800 new homes? Is it 800 or 300? I can't remember that number either. But I mean, you keep growing these residential areas, you're bringing in more residents, and you keep bragging about it. Please just bring the emergency services with it. We did not experience a good result when we tried to use those services that the taxpayers pay for.
So I When I worked in elections in Escambia County, one of the big things that turned the tide to getting really long established career politicians out of office was an online Facebook group called Escambia County Citizens Watch. And it was formed and started by a woman that I really respect. And she made such a huge impact with it. So I had the idea to basically, why not reinvent the wheel? But let's make a Baldwin County Citizens Watch, which is still very new and in the beginning stages here. But very quickly, we were able to get over 200 people who really wanted to get more transparency and accountability within the county government. And that was just the tip of the iceberg. When that happened, an anonymous person actually showed up and invited Jimmy Fuson to the page. And then we heard about his story in DHR. So that was kind of what put this on our radar. We started this Facebook group for government transparency accountability. He came to the page, was invited there, and told us his story. We found it very compelling. We were like, I cannot believe national news honestly hadn't picked this up.
Yes. That was the shocker, was that it wasn't already being talked about on a widespread broadcast format.
We started to notice that there really wasn't any local news outlets covering these hard issues that were difficult to talk about. When I worked in Escambia County and had a newspaper there in Pensacola, we talked about the good news, the feel-good stuff, the public interest stories, the events going on, the festivals, and all that. There's a space for that. It needs to be covered. But what we were lacking was people willing to stand up to the government, to criticize them, and to dive deep into what's actually happening, to throw out harsh words and make accusations, because a lot of time they are established. These are not criticisms that come from nowhere. These are legitimate concerns of citizens that are falling on deaf ears. So we wanted to think, what's a way that we can help people's voice get heard and amplify that when they're usually stifled? Another thing, when we reached out to the Baldwin County government, every single email to this day, they have never responded to an email. We were actually even told recently that the sheriff's department was told not to respond to my emails, that they were like, just ignore those people, they'll go away. And when we show up to the county commission meetings, it's exactly like that. They see us, they smirk, they laugh, they don't want to hear anything we have to say because they don't like being told what they're doing is wrong or needs to be improved.
Yep.
So basically the goal now is to make something where we can amplify voices that really want to see change, that want to see accountability, and that aren't afraid. Because that's really the key issue here is regular media is afraid to criticize the government in a lot of cases. And it makes sense, but we're not afraid. We don't really have anything to lose. So we're here to fill that void.
We hope that this can be an opportunity for people who have something that needs to get out, like this story that we just broke, that aren't being heard, that feel minimized because maybe of who they are, maybe, for whatever reason. And we hope that you can come to us like, people came to us on this instance and gave us a story and allow us to provide a platform for people to have their voice heard, some sort of media outlet, however small it may be, in this beginning stage, so that people can have their stories heard in a respectable format.
Another question I get sometimes is, why are you guys doing this together? I had worked in the past with business associates and people within my newspaper, and every time, honestly, I got screwed over. I got people buying out my paper. I got people that I didn't trust coming, taking my ideas, taking credit for things, even podcast reels, intellectual property that I had created and made in a digital media space. I was not getting credited for. I was having stolen from me, and I was tired of it. So for me, it makes a lot of sense to work alongside the person that I trust the most and the person that I care about the most, because I know that person's not going to screw me over. So for me, this is the safest space for me to help these people have a voice and do so without fear that someone's going to stomp on my ideas or want to squash me out. So I'm thankful to have that opportunity.
I just like pointing the camera.
If you're interested in supporting us, shoot us a DM and we will give you the Venmo or the Cash App or the Zelle or whatever you're interested in to help fund us. We also have some merch for sale. We're hoping to grow this. Right now, we are just started, so we don't really have any advertisers. But if you're looking to advertise, we definitely have space, and I have an advertising package to send you. We would love to run sponsors on our page, which is about to launch very soon. And we would love to highlight you as a business and help grow you in the community as well. So I hope this can be mutually beneficial for businesses and private entities in the community too. We can cover them too.
So here's the origin story of WFUZ-TV. It really comes from Fuzzy Fiddler, which a lot of people know is a company that I have. And one of the missions of that company is to provide musical instruments and music lessons to first responders and veterans. And I also like to go, I did some disaster work for Hurricane Helene. And I would like to continue that kind of hands-on mission work as well. And so when we sell merchandise or raise money for things like that, we like to do it under those banners under Fuzzy Fiddler and WFUZ-TV. And so they're intertwined together for the same cause.
And right now, a portion of the merch sales is going to go to the people who are trying to get their kids back from DHR. We're going to give a portion to those people that want to hire Yancey Burnett, that are taking the initiative to fight this large entity. And I'm really proud that we're doing that because these people definitely need help. We plan on being at the town hall coming up on May 17th to cover the story some more and see exactly where it's going. I really think it's going to be a national story, and it should be, because it's absolutely appalling what's happening here. And I'm really thankful that we got to be a part of helping those people in some way.
Yeah, it's no easy thing for these people to come forward. I mean, there are people that have come to us anonymously telling about stories of retaliation, of DHR falsifying drug tests with positive results, false psychiatric evaluations, and just ripping children away and keeping them away for years and putting them at risk for being put up for adoption and being taken away from them forever. Purposeful alienation. So every little bit helps. There's going to be a town hall meeting on May 17th in Bay Minette from 2 to 5 p.m. And Yancey Burnett's going to be there to speak. And you can actually fill out an intake packet, and they will review and assess your case. If you have what you feel is a case against DHR or Dr. Jack Carney, you can come to that town hall meeting and listen to people speak their stories and see if you might be able to also get some good quality legal consultation that really knows how to handle these things.
And if you have a story, or someone you know has a story that you feel isn't getting a fair shake in the local media and you really want that story told, please shoot us an email. It's WFUZTV@gmail.com, and let us know what's going on. We'd love to hear about it and potentially cover it. And we're happy to amplify voices that really need that extra boost and energy. So shoot us an email if you know of something. We can't cover everything, but we try our best to help people that aren't getting local coverage at this moment in time.
All right, if we made it this far, we really appreciate you watching and listening, and we will be back with you soon with more interviews, more stories, and more content right here on WFUZ-TV. I'm Thomas Jenkins, and this is Blair Castro, and we hope y'all have a great one.
WFUZ-TV, Coastal Alabama, Northwest Florida, the People's Voice.